Hello class, this is Demetrius Wilson, Human Relations, Strategies for Success, A Productive Workplace and Success, Chapter 16, your final chapter. This is going to be the last of the 16 lectures, and I know the class is going by very fast. Learning objectives for Chapter 16. Understand factors that create and maintain a productive workplace. And there are factors, and there is a certain skill level that's required to maintain a productive workplace. Learn methods of improving morale and appraisal techniques. How do you improve your morale? How do you get everyone's spirits up even when things are tough? Learn strategies to improve your use of time. We've discussed procrastinating and why you shouldn't procrastinate. Recognize substance abuse and other behaviors that reduce workplace productivity. I've seen it several times, and it has an extreme effect on productivity as well as that individual's home life. Know what employers and employees can do to deal with substance abuse and as well as other personal or financial problems. Typically, companies have the Employee Assistance Program, or the EAP, where someone can call in and discuss their various problems. Explore the concept of success and the attainment of goals, right? Talk about goals and SMART goals. Are these goals, are they measured? Are they attainable? Are they reasonable goals? Or are they goals that you just know that the person can't reach? And if you put out some goals that someone knows that they can absolutely not reach, I can guarantee you that they will withdraw. Focus strategies to increase and maintain your personal success. Ratio of an organization's input to outputs in productivity, right? So how much do you put in versus how much is being the output or the throughput? How much work is getting done for what you put in, whether it be putting in salary, uh, excuse me, whether it be putting in salary or time, training the individuals. What have you put in and what has come out? It increases by focusing on input and output separately, being more efficient, which is what we all attempt to do. Improve research and development, right? So you research to see how things are, and then you develop a bigger, better, faster, stronger product or process. Buy new equipment, buildings, or machinery, right? And those also want to lead to you being more efficient. Simplify products or improve the production process, right? So a lot of times things get so big and then they come back to where we make them so small, kind of like cell phones. So you saw with the cell phones how they went from the Zach Morris huge brick cell phone to smaller cell phones, and then now they're getting bigger now because we can do more things and we want to, you know, multitask on our phones. So now the phones are becoming much larger. Simplify products and improve the production process. Typically, because I work in a service organization, I attempt to simplify the process and definitely improve the production process and make things more efficient. Increase morale to boost productivity, right? So if you can't have happy employees, you're probably not going to have super productive employees. They have to be happy to a certain extent. Now, I'm not saying that you want to go to work and just like, oh, I just can't wait to go to work, right? Don't be fake and don't fool yourself. But, you should go to work and say, hey, this is a challenge, this is this. I want to get in there and I want to make a good impression. Understand the morale of the work environment. So you have to understand. I've worked in work environments where the morale is very terrible, very low. And I've also worked in workplaces where the morale was extremely high and things were great, kind of fed off the environment. Everyone was excited. Let everyone know what's in it for them, right? So, a lot of times managers come back and they say, oh, well, do this for the team, do that for the team, do this for the team. Well, what about what's in it for that employee or that associate? Get everyone in the organization involved in goal setting, right? So you could sit down, you could communicate with them, see what should be on there, what shouldn't be on there, uh, and fine tune your list to say we're going to work together, we're going to figure out what these goals are, and we're going to make our environment much more productive, and we're also going to increase the morale throughout the company. Let employees know that the company is dedicated to helping them succeed. It's nothing like having a manager or someone you report to that's dedicated to have helping and having you succeed. I feel like I currently have that in my workplace where there's people who support me that want me to actually succeed. Encourage communication, right? You have to communicate. I have a suggestion box on my desk, and it's open. It's always open. If anybody has a suggestion, I tell them you go ahead and put it right in there. You don't have to write your name. You don't have to indicate who it's from. It could be somewhat of a negative suggestion, like, "Hey, Demetrius, you need to change this process," and that's perfectly fine. But I'd really like to hear people's suggestions. But what's funny is that I never get any suggestions, and then people will obviously, turn around and say, "Hey, well, you should have done this, you should have done that, or whatever." But it, they don't put anything on paper or put anything physically down and submit it to me and say, "Hey, this is what I think you should change. This is why, and this is how you should do it." Encourage communication and keep everyone accountable for their actions. One time at a company that I was at, a young lady, she was the vice president there. She said, "I want everyone to look up the word accountable and come back tomorrow and tell me what it means." Right. So it was an interesting exercise, the best or the brightest. But when I went and looked it up, it made me think about it, and I would have hoped that it made everybody else think about it. So accountability is something that I really struggle with to see enough individuals within the organization to be fully accountable. And the other, which we've discussed as well, big problem that we have with these employees is that maybe they're pointing the finger, maybe they're doing the blame game, and it's always somebody else, but it's never them, right? Everyone needs to be accountable for their actions, needs to stand up and say, "It's my problem, I did it wrong, let me go back and fix it." So other factors that improve morale. So the manner in which employees and managers are appraised, right? How are you appraised? Traditional employee appraisal, all of an employee's negatives are saved up and addressed in one session. And that is absolutely the wrong way to do. In terms of communication, which was a couple slides back, you have to communicate early and often, right? So you don't save up everything that they did and just come out and just blow them out of the water with all this information that you've been tracking on them. Something happens, go deal with it, right? If one of my employees does something and I don't like it, right, we're going to go into the room and we're going to talk about it, we're going to discuss it, we're going to work it out, as opposed to me holding everything in and then either just exploding on you out on the floor, or during your review at the end of the year and you say, "Hey, well, if you had have told me, I would have changed things." Use creative employee appraisal system, which stimulate productivity through. So encouragement, two-way communication, and motivation. So a lot of times companies, what they'll do is they'll take the review and give it to the employee, let them write their own review, get their information, then you come in and you write your parts, and then you guys sit down and discuss it. And I've seen that done numerous ways. Task maturity, so matching an individual to their job that needs to be done. One way to encourage productivity, it's having the skill set for the job at hand. If you don't have the skill set, you'll be out of there soon. Does the job not does not refer to an employee's age or seniority on the job, right? So task maturity is not how old someone is or not how old the project is. But if you want to encourage productivity, you want to make sure that you have the right person for the right job. Avoiding self-sabotage, right? And also avoid sabotage of others, because others will attempt to sabotage you. Self-sabotage is damaging one's own credibility or competence, reason, fear or apprehension, low self-esteem or insecurity, and lack of motivation, right? So if you're missing those things, you may be sabotaging yourself. Procrastination, as I said, my mother would always say, procrastination is the thief of time. It's the act of putting off until later the things that we should be doing now, right? I had a list over the weekend of things to do, and man, I just did not get through that list. But during those times, I had something better to do. Oh, I have to do this, I have to do that. And I was just procrastinating. And so I haven't procrastinated as much as I used to, but I do still procrastinate. It's a form of self sabotage, and it's a major source of stress. So here are some steps to stop procrastinating. You also have our Wellcast video that will give you some steps in regards to stop procrastinating. Get started with the task. Make a plan. Reduce the task to smaller counterpoint or smaller components. Like they say, how do you eat an elephant? And then it's one chunk at a time or one bite at a time. Think positive, right? Don't think negative. Be that optimist, right? Be optimistic. Don't be pessimistic. And reward yourself after finishing each smaller task, right? So you complete things here and there, right? Reward yourself. You have to keep your energy and your morale going. Time management, which also ties directly into procrastination. Making effective use of available time requires planning, right? So you have to plan ahead. So, for instance, I have an electric car now, and I have time management to say, okay, I have to go down here to charge the car up, run home, and then what time do I need to wake up to run back, right? If I don't have good time management skills, I will be running to get the car, and I should have been leaving to go to work. So make effective use of available time. So people waste time when they overload, plan too many activities into one time slot, and that definitely happens. And underutilize time, make poor use of available time, right? Also, with time management, time analysis tools enable examining time effectiveness in an ongoing process. Setting priorities, right? So, lady asked, and I think I've mentioned this before. She asked her manager, can you tell me how to prioritize all these things that I have on this list? And he said everything's a priority. Well, if everything's a priority, then nothing is a priority. So, time analysis tools enable examining time effectiveness in an ongoing process. Setting priorities, deciding ahead of time which tasks are most important and which are least important, and then making a to-do list. And I have those big supporter of the to-do list, keeping lists of what one needs to do when and where, right? Typically when I come into the office, it may sound a little weird, I just take a notepad and I write down 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8, whatever it is. These are things I need to do. When I'm done, I go ahead and cross them out. So, substance abuse, abuse of alcohol and other drugs, most common and expensive employee problem, right? So, most common and expensive employee problem. Employee drug use and dependency, psychoactive drug affects judgment, behavior, mental process, mood, conscious experience, or perception. So, all those things are going to be affected. And effects in the workplace, loss of employee morale and group unity, and substance abusing employees goes into withdrawals at work, causing distress for others. And I've seen that. I've seen a lady go out on an all-night bender, and they just could not lift her head up off of the desk. So marital, family, and other personal problems, reduce workplace productivity and accidents. Right? I tell everyone, hey, just leave it at home, or if you're at work, leave it at work. But easier said than done, because I don't even follow those instructions or that advice. So they result in poor decision making and attention to detail, conflicts with coworkers, and relating poorly to customers. Family violence, physical, emotional, verbal, or sexual violence against a family member increases conflict at work. Employee becomes preoccupied and work suffers, right? Because you're always thinking about this issue. An employee feels ashamed or afraid to admit. So I'll have you guys check out financial problems slide on your own. Also responses to substance abuse and other non-productive behaviors. Just two additional slides. Then we have the employee assistance program, which I referred to you guys already, and workplace substance abuse policies. As always, have a good day, a great week. It's been a wonderful class. It went by so fast.